Here and you're new, yeah, I know you see me dancing, but when we come on the live, I'm usually having a real conversation about real relationships. Okay, so listen, let's tune in to what we're talking about today. So today we are talking about the fear of being happy. Yes, the fear of being happy. Now, this is actually something we've been talking about for the past few weeks. We've been talking about attachment styles and talking about emotional safety. So let me break down those two terms really quickly. But the topic of today's conversation is the fear of being happy. Okay, there is a fear of people being happy, and so we're going to break this down for you today as well. Okay, so here we go. First and foremost, attachment styles. What essentially is that? Attachment styles is the way that we emotionally bond in relationships. Okay, it is a way that we tether ourselves to other people. Right. And so with that, psychologist called John Bowlby developed what we call the attachment style. He observed young children and how they attached to their caregivers. Now, this is very important because what he also understood was the way you attach to your caregiver also dictated how they moved in adult relationships. So if you are feeling like, you have a fear of being happy, or whenever you end up becoming happy, okay, all right, this is a massive thing as to why you might not be staying happy for a very long time because of your attachment style, which I'll break down for you in a few minutes. So attachment style is simply the way that we emotionally bond in relationships, okay? And how that looks is that John Bowlby developed what we call 3 of those attachment styles. One of them was being secure. The other one was also avoidant, and the next one was what we call an anxious attachment. So let me break those 3 down really quickly for you. The secure attachment is somebody who grew up in a household where their parents met their emotional needs. The parent was attentive, they cared, they allowed you to share your thoughts and your feelings. They allowed you to share your opinions. They allowed you to speak freely in the household growing up, okay? You never felt like you were being shunned or pushed aside. When you grow up in that kind of household where you're able to give love and receive it, you tend to grow up in a more secure attachment. And that is characterized by the fact that you don't stress yourself when you have to give love and when you have to receive love. You don't stress yourself when you have to put boundaries on people. Boundaries, when you have to tell people your boundaries. You don't stress yourself when you have to say no. You don't stress yourself when you have to share how you really feel. You don't stress yourself asking for help. You don't stress yourself when you are trying to strive to be creative or take a risk. Thank you very much, right? Secure people tend to be able to be very balanced in the way they move. In fact, if you've met a secure person, you know. You know why you know? Because most times when we're not secure and we meet a secure person, they call us out without even calling us out. Why? Because the things that you're afraid of or insecure about, they tend not to be insecure about. Right? So again, secure people are very powerful, and that's what we all want to be. We all want to get to a place of security. Now, the other 3 attachments, which I believe that a lot of us who are African, especially, okay, all right, all right, tend to end up having, okay? If you grew up in a household where your parent was an authoritarian, hey, English, authoritarian, okay? Somebody who your parent was a dominating figure, right? Where, the ones who, especially if you grew up in an African household, even an African American household, even a Caribbean household, you're to be seen but not heard. That's not going to help you when you're in your growth. To be seen and not heard, while it creates great creates great hierarchy in the household, it actually robs the child of expression. Now, do you need to be involved in every single conversation your parents are involved? Hell no, you shouldn't be involved in. But when you're to be seen and not to be heard, it also stunts your growth in terms of communication with parents. And that actually stunts your growth in communication with your future partners usually as well, because you've been trained to be seen and not heard. So what you've learned is that I can't actually express my needs, or my needs are not important to other people, okay? So looking obviously at the other 3 attachments, I'm going to break them down really quickly for you so you understand how we're going to really operate with this conversation today as to why you fear being happy. So let's take first and foremost the anxious person. The anxious person, all right, is someone who grew up in a household where there was conditional love. Okay, so if you grew up in a household right? If you grew up in a household where your parents only loved you because you got good grades, they only loved you because you did dishes, they only loved you because you swept the yard, they only loved you because you took your siblings to school, they only loved you, they only showed you love. And when I say loved you, what I mean by this, they only really showed that positive affection and care for you when you were doing something. So rather than just being praised for being you as an individual, you're only really praised for when you are doing something. Does that make sense? When you are doing something in a household, please, I beg someone stop requesting. What is he doing? When you're doing something in the household, for instance, you wash the dishes, or some of you are cooking, some of you are cleaning, some of you are taking your siblings to school, some of you, you were into sports, some of you were into your academics, right? When your parent only praised you for conditional loving you, right? In the sense of their love towards you was only expressed when you were doing something, more than likely you had what we call conditional love. It might have been consistent, but it was conditional. So what you learn is that in this household, I can only get love when I do something. Therefore, your thought perspective is that if I do something for someone, if I do something for my partner, then they'll love me. But if I don't do anything, if I'm not of value to that person, I can't be loved, which creates what we call the anxious attachment. So conditional households and what we also call inconsistent loving households. So a household where the parent was good one day, not great the next, right? Or you had a parent that did love you, but a lot of times they weren't home. They had to work a lot, or you were stressed with stuff because you're always thinking about your parents having to leave you, right? Or go to work and leave you, and that can create what we call the abandonment wound in a sense. Okay, all right. So that's the anxious people. We're going to talk about that a little bit deeper a little bit later on. Let's talk a little bit about the avoidance. Now, there are two types of avoidance. There are dismissive and there are fearful avoidance. The key difference between the two is what they're afraid of. The dismissive avoidant is afraid of rejection. The fearful avoidant is afraid of rejection, abandonment, and also betrayal. Okay, all right. So the betrayal, the rejection, and the abandonment for fearful avoidant. Yes, Chloe, if you read the book Attached, there are several attachment books, one by Elvira Hoffman. There's a few others as well on my Audible that I listen to as well, right? So the core wound of a dismissive avoidant, let's talk a little bit about that first, right? So the dismissive avoidant, often termed as the avoidant, feels like for them, they grew up in a household where the parents were neglectful. So if you grew up in a household, which a lot of us, especially if you're African, you grew up in this household. Your parent didn't necessarily neglect you in a sense of maybe sometimes intentional, but they told you, listen, we don't care about your opinion. Why are you crying? Why do you make noise? When you talk up, they beat you instead of actually having a conversation with you, right? You grew up in a household where maybe you became the third parent or second parent. You now had to, when your parents go to work, you are now the parent of your siblings. You're cooking, you're cleaning, you're responsible for them as if you are the one that birthed them and they came out of your womb, or they came out of, or you created them from your sperm. Yeah. When you grew up in a household where you became that third parent, where your needs were pushed aside. For instance, if you lost summer holidays, for instance, if you had to spend your weekends looking after your siblings, you're more than likely going to start being parentified, because what was happening is you had to focus on your siblings. Now, I think that's a beautiful thing to be able to allow us to grow as a family. But when your needs are not being met and they're being stripped away from you and you have no choice, you start to learn that your needs are not important. So you might have been in a household where, you might have been embarrassed when you said how you felt. Or if you shared some emotion like, hey, I didn't like that, they'll tell you, oh, shut up, we don't care. When you get those kind of things where they dismiss your emotions and your feelings, you're now living in a household that's neglectful. And what that births is that young people tend to then grow up into relationships okay, and tend to grow up into relationships where they also feel like their needs are not important. That's what makes them avoidant. They start avoiding things because they themselves have had their needs neglected. So what they learn is your needs are not important. People don't care about your needs, so don't worry about it. So what ends up happening is you get into adult relationships and you feel like, right? You feel like that if I share my emotions, they're going to laugh at me, they're going to embarrass me, they're going to shame me. They're not going to care because my parents didn't care. And if my parents didn't care, why would you care? You know what I mean? I know you say you love me or you care about me, or I know that I want to be in a relationship with you, but why would you care? You know what I mean? If my parents who birthed me did not care. Now, will they tell you this? No. But it will come out in the actions. Do you see what I'm saying to you? It will come out in the actions. Okay? So that's what we call the dismissive avoidance. They are dismissive of their emotions, and sometimes they're dismissive of your own as well. They'll dismiss your emotions as well. So if you're a friend with a dismissive avoidant person, you'll recognize that they actually can be very open to other people's capacity in terms of sharing, but they themselves don't share much. Right? So when you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant, thank you very much, Ejiro. When you're dealing with a dismissive avoidant, what you'll find is they are everybody's confidant. They are everybody's vault. Everybody's secret runs through this person. You know who you are. You know that when you're in a friendship, that everybody runs to you. You're the one that gives advice. You're the one that gives information. But when they ask you, how are you doing? You don't believe that anybody cares. Yeah. You say, oh, it doesn't matter. I'm fine. Don't worry about it. And then you ask yourself, but nobody really cares about me. Well, you're not sharing. Do you get? You're not sharing because you're afraid that they're going to reject you. So you've become a placeholder for everybody else's secrets, but no one can have yours because you don't trust them. And how could you? Because your parents didn't market that to you. Your parents pretty much told you that you can't even trust them with your own secrets and your own emotions. They didn't care. So it's going to happen pretty much in your childhood. Then the last one, fearful avoidance, and then we're going to break it down a bit more. The fearful avoidance, okay? Fearful avoidance grow up in households where there is inconsistency, there's irregularity, there is dismissiveness, and there is also fear. Chaos. If you grew up in a household where there was chaos, no order, you know when you go into this kind of house, you know what kind of house that is, where you go into a house and it's just chaos. And I'm not necessarily talking about, it doesn't mean have to be like everything's everywhere. No, it doesn't have to always be that. Chaos in a sense of that you've made sense of the chaos. And let me give you an example, right? You yourself now know the walking pattern of your mum or your dad because you believe that the next thing they're about to do is to scream, shout, or punish you, shame you or embarrass you. You know the footstep pace. You know even the way they turn the key lock. You know the sound of their car engine when it pulls up to the driveway because you know it's not a positive thing. You know that when they come into the house atmosphere shifts and changes. Either your mom or your dad, whichever one it was, doesn't make a difference. It could be either the parents, it could be both. You know what I'm saying to you? But you know that atmosphere in the household changes for the worse, not for the better. When that parent comes home, you don't want to be there. You know the ones where you don't want to come home early? Because you know that when you come home, it's always stress. Right? You know the ones where you come to a household where your parent is just unreasonable. You can say, hey, you know what? I need, it's going to take me 20 minutes to walk to school. And they're telling you, take it in 10. They're just unreasonable. And it's like, every time you deal with them, you think of fear. You don't think, oh, like wonderful things. You just think of fear. You know what I'm saying to you? And 1 minute, they can be very loving. They'll give you pocket money. Take you out for ice cream. Come to your school play. The next minute, they're embarrassing you, shaming you, punishing you. Like you could, you there, you don't even know, you just know that at any moment it can change. At any moment, if you say one thing, do one thing, it can change. And what a lot of us have learned, especially if you're a young kid and you've got siblings, especially if you're a firstborn. I'm a firstborn, I know this one, right? If you grow up in that kind of household, you tend to be, some of you are even perpetrators of that nonsense because now you're afraid of your siblings getting hurt. So what you tell your siblings is just conform. Don't try to fight it. You get. Don't try to fight it. Just be on your best behavior every single time. Like, and what you start doing is you start realizing you become part of the people pleasing. You learn to wear a mask. You learn to create characters so that you can deal with the parents that you're actually dealing with. Right? Your parent is both the comforter and they are the person who creates fear. And that could be one parent's comforting, the other parent's fearful. Or can be the same parent. The same parent could be the one that says, you know what? For the ladies, let me say this for you specifically, because a lot of you ladies are here, right? You grew up in a single, especially if you grew up in a household where we talk about two-parent households, and I'll talk about that in a second, right? If you grew up in a household, and I tell the ladies this because I coach a lot of ladies. You grew up in a household with your mum. Your mum's all you got because your dad's not around. You know, some men ain't around, we have to be honest with that, right? Dad's not around. So you're clinging to your mum, but your mum is also the very person who's one that's criticizing you, that's rude to you, that's disrespectful, that's jealous, that sort of thing. That creates chaos. That makes it a very fearful environment because you need your mum. There are some young boys who grew up in the same environment with their mum. Their mum is the only person they have. Their dad's not around. And that mum can also be the one that they care about, they love and appreciate. But the mum was also the one that was telling them so much. You're not going to be no good. You, son, you remind you of your father, and say these things. And the son may just take it because he doesn't want to hate his mother because that's all he's got. He's scared to lose her too. That can create a fearful, avoidant perspective as well. Right? And so we can talk about the two-parent households, right? Two-parent households where we have the dad that is a terror in that house. You know the ones where when your dad comes home, he's a terror. Whether he was drinking, whether he was sober, whether it's just got anger issues, everybody, as soon as he gets in the house, everybody wants to scatter. Nobody wants to be around because we know that the next thing is you're going to be pulled up for something and you don't know what. It's scary. Or maybe it was your mother. Your dad was afraid. Your mom is afraid. So your dad's afraid. The kid's afraid. Because when mom gets home, she out here shaking the trees up, bro. Yeah? Rude to dad. Rude to you. You know what I'm saying, Chu? Seeming like, you know, and everybody's looking for her approval, but really and truly, she ain't gonna give it. So it happens with several different types of households. It's not just about being a single parent household. It's not about just being a two-parent household. It is about the environment you grew up in that household. Some of you, right? Some of you grew up in households where you never grew up in that house. You grew up with your auntie, you were moved from your auntie then to your uncle, and then your uncle had to pass you on to your cousin, and your cousin had to pass you on to a nephew, and the nephew had to pass you on to this person, and you were moved around so much, you never had stability. That's scary. People don't know that. That's scary too, right? Because there's no physical safety, because at any given moment, just as you're about to settle, we rise you up again. Now that can push you into a dismissive, or a fearful avoidant. It depends on what those environments were. If those environments were pretty cool, but maybe, you know, they weren't that bad, but you just, you know, necessarily, maybe your needs weren't necessarily being met, but you're physically safe, you're probably going to end up probably being more dismissive. But maybe you grew up in a house, you had to go from different house to house to house to house, and you weren't sure about those people. The energy they would bring to you. That uncle that was a little bit scary, a little bit too much close to you, yeah? That little bit too much handsy, okay? That uncle listen, trigger warning. I have to put this here, trigger warning. Trigger warning for anybody who's been through any kind of abuse, sexually, physically. I'm going to put a trigger warning here because what I'm about to say, because this also plays a lot into it as well, right? Especially if you grew up in households where even if you've had to maybe stay with an uncle or aunt or cousin or whatever family member, and there's someone in that household who's scary. I mean, they cross boundaries, right? And you can feel it, and you want to get away. You tell your mum or you tell your dad, and they don't believe you. And they send you back there. I have a lot of people that happen that too. You know, you tell your parents, hey, I feel scared. And the parent will be like, what? Go back there. Not listening to their kid. This creates fearful avoidance too. This can create fearful avoidance as well, right? So your response can be, and I'll get into this, right? So those kind of households can birth what we call fearful avoidance. What does that mean? It means people who are fearful of abandonment, rejection, or betrayal. They're usually born in households where they're born into chaos. And so, with that being said, how they're categorized is that they often have what we call hot and cold behaviors. Okay? It can look like it's manipulative. For those of you who watch Love Island, someone like Huda, someone like Shelley would carry some of those characteristics. Have you noticed how hot and cold they can be? One minute they're all about commitment, the next minute they're playing games. Why? Because they're afraid that if they have love, that love will hurt. If you believe that love hurts, you probably got that fearful avoidant perspective. If you believe that love is engulfing and traps you, you probably got more of a dismissive avoidant perspective. If you think that love has to be chased, you probably got an anxious perspective. The secure people believe that love is secure. It's wonderful. It's security. And that's the difference. So, with that being said, we're going to break down, like I said, the fear of being happy is an attachment issue. Okay, we're going to break that down. The fear of being happy is an attachment issue. Now, happiness is an emotion. And so we have to talk about emotional safety. Here's what emotional safety is. Emotional safety is your ability to be able to express yourself without the fear of being judged, without being persecuted, without being punished, without being harmed, without being embarrassed, without being shamed. You should be able to express your feelings, your emotions, your opinions without the fear of those things happening, right? And that is on a two-way perspective. The fear of those things happening in terms of being afraid of shame, embarrassment, guilt, punishment, all that kind of stuff can be external as well as internal. And because you suffered it externally, you're also inflicting it internally. Now, this is what's really important. We all have some level of emotional safety, but a lot of us also have areas where we're not safe emotionally. That's why sometimes you can't share your opinion with somebody because you're afraid that they will leave you as a friend or they'll leave you as a partner. That's why sometimes you can't enforce your boundaries because you're afraid that if you enforce your boundaries, then someone will call you rude and they won't like you. And if they don't like you, they're going to abandon you or they're going to reject you. That's why some of you can't necessarily ask for help, because if you ask for help, you feel like you're going to be weak. Or if you do ask for help, they're going to shame you for asking for help. That's not you feeling emotionally safe. Now, we've been doing this for the past few weeks. And today we're talking about why you can't be happy, because that's a part of emotional safety, right? So let me give you a quick little understanding of what I mean by this, right? For the secure person, when they get happy, they're not thinking, when is this happiness going to end? They're not thinking, oh, I'm happy now, so I need to brace myself because happiness will leave tomorrow. They're not thinking, oh, when I get happy, what's around the corner? Because if you know when you get happy and then I just know something's going to go wrong. They're not thinking that. Why they're not thinking those things? Because in their household, they were given, their emotional needs were met. They were met with emotional and physical safety. So their thought process isn't the same as somebody who grows up in a household where one minute you're happy, the next minute your mum's asking you or dad's asking you, why are you happy for? Or next one minute you're happy, you're singing, enjoying yourself, and your parent comes home and destroys all that happiness in a 1-second incident. Because they don't grow in those kind of households, secure people don't have that thought process. But let's break it down with each particular attachment style. Let's talk about anxious people, okay? Right? Anxious people will tell you that good things don't last unless I hold on tightly, okay? So what's going to happen is that their fear is that if they don't hold on to that person, their happiness is going to leave them. Now, why is this important? It's important because what ends up happening in relationships with you is that when you're dealing with friends, family, or even somebody that you're in a relationship with, is that the moment you get happy, you start doing too much. You start doing way too much because you're afraid that the next thing that's going to happen is if I don't keep this up, if I don't keep my behaviors up, if I don't keep serving them, if I don't keep, doing what they want, if I don't keep saying yes, they're going to leave me. So now you're stuck because you believe that good things don't last unless you hold on tightly. And that's what we call smothering. That's what we call the person's in your space too much. That's what we call a person they're doing too much. Right? So they've learned that love and happiness are unpredictable, so they fear losing it once they have it. So they're seeking what? Consistency. when you are being anxious to the point where you got to be clingy, what you're really seeking is for you to actually have what we call consistency. Because in your household, what you didn't have was consistency. What you had was inconsistent affection and affirmation. So what you're seeking in a relationship and what you actually need from your partner is to express that I need consistency. That's what you need. But for you personally as an individual, you need to be consistent with yourself. You need to first be stable within yourself. You have to understand that when love is, and you see, for anxious people, their love comes externally, not within. They base a lot of their happiness on the validation they're getting from their relationships around them, family, friends, loved ones. And so what ends up happening is they're going to extend themselves in those relationships. So if they're happy, they're going to extend themselves in serving their mum, serving their dad, serving their uncle, serving their sister, serving their husband or their wife. And they're going to do way too much. And what ends up happening, they start crowding the person. And when they crowd the person, the other person feels like they're being cramped. Now, if the other person is not a secure person, what tends to happen is they don't communicate that they're feeling cramped. They just take an action. And that's what most people do. Those of us who have got an insecure attachment, which is most of y'all, I know they say 50% of the nation, well, I don't see them. Those of us who are insecure only see more insecure people. You know what I'm saying to you? But most of the time, people don't communicate what's going on. So if I'm doing too much and I'm crowding you, instead of you saying, hey, look, coach, I really appreciate you. I like you. You know what I'm saying to you? But I do need also my space to be able to be autonomous. It doesn't mean I don't want to talk to you. It doesn't mean I want to be around you. But I also need a few hours to myself just to gather myself and recoup. No, we won't explain that. What we will do is like, oh, they're doing too much. Oh. So now when they're calling you, you look at your phone, you put it down. When they come knocking at your door, you're asleep. When they ask you, are we going to meet up next week? I'll think about it. You know, when you see them at work, you go left. You know what I'm saying to you? When they're in your group meetings, you don't want to get close to them because they're going to start talking. And it's because you're not communicating with them. But that's the anxious person. The anxious person validates themselves through the relationships that they have with other people. Okay? So let's talk about some of the emotional struggles or the emotional safety struggles with an emotionally, with an anxious person. Okay? So they find it hard to relax in gratitude. One of the biggest things for anxious people is to relax in general. So they take that same process into when it comes to gratitude. So for instance, if you're somebody and you know this is something that anxious people and avoidance share, but in a very unique way. So anxious people, what they will do is, let's say you meet a goal, right? Let's say for instance, you've got 100K subscribers now, right? They'll be like, what's going to go wrong now? You know, I got 100K now subscribers, but will I lose them now? I better not say something. If I say something, it could make me lose all my subscribers. No, I shouldn't say that. Oh, I shouldn't be me authentically too much because if they don't like it, they're not going to want to follow me anymore. You know, I want to do that, but if I do that, then what will somebody say? Right? And so what you realize is they struggle with emotional safety, and that's what's now stopping the happiness because they can't be present. They're in the future. And that's the problem. How are your feelings in the future already when you're in the present? That's the biggest issue. The issue is you're in the future about your thoughts, but you are currently present. That's why there's an incongruence and there's a problem. Let me say it one more time for you to understand this. The anxious person is in the future with their anxiety, but you're physically present. That's your issue. Your mind has already gone ahead of you and your body can't catch up because your body can only be what? Present. So you need to bring your mind back to where? The present. So if you've got 100K subscribers, 10K subscribers, 1K subscriber, 100 subscribers, right? You should celebrate that 100 subscribers. The Bible says that we do not despise small beginnings. Why? Because a roof doesn't cave in overnight. A roof caves in when one tile is missing. 3, 5, 7, 10, 15. Then the roof caves in. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So it's understandable. Rome wasn't built in a day. So we can't jump to the future. Although it's good to think about the future, we can't jump to it. We can't jump to it where when all our thoughts now are into the future. We need to also think about the present. Enjoy it for now. Enjoy it for now. Okay? So stop scanning for what's going to go wrong. Just enjoy it now. Enjoy the moment. Number 2 is that they associate optimism with vulnerability. If I get too hopeful, I'll be blindsided. And technically, that's more even for me of an avoidant trait as well. But for them, they feel like, look, if they associate optimism, anxious people, with vulnerability. If I get too hopeful, I'll be blindsided. I won't see it coming. So I must control everything by making sure I've planned it all. You have an anxious friend like that. Maybe it's you. Is it you? Turn to your neighbor. You don't have one, but don't worry. Turn to your neighbor and say, if it's not you, and it's not you, it's me. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? It's probably you. You're probably the anxious friend who has to plan everything, every detail, every itinerary. You're the one that has to, and so what ends up happening is because, it's a struggle, and because you like the control of having to plan things out so people can follow a structure, because you're afraid of things changing and being inconsistent. So you associate optimism with vulnerability. Okay, if I get too hopeful, I will be blindsided. If I get too in my feelings, I'm going to be blindsided. I won't see it coming. I won't know what's happening. I can't plan for that downfall. What if it goes wrong? I can't plan for that. Okay, and number 3, emotional safety issue is that gratitude feels fake if their emotional needs aren't met right now. So if your emotional needs are that you need someone to affirm you, speak life into you, then it's hard to be grateful for where you are right now. Because again, you're thinking about the future. I'll be able to do this when I get there and do that. And when I feel this way, I will be able to... No, you need to appreciate it now. You need to appreciate it now. I know maybe all your emotional needs are not met necessarily right now. They will do. We'll get there. But you need to be able to celebrate now. Gratitude, being able to celebrate now. Grateful for what you have now. And see, it's not just good enough just being like in my brain. In my brain it's like, yeah, that's good. No, sometimes you've got to voice it out. You've got to say it out loud. Why? Because it brings you to a place of consciousness. You've been doing a lot of thinking. Time to open your mouth. Use a tongue that has life and death in it. The Bible says life and death reside in the tongue. The tongue is the most dangerous part of the body because it can set forests on fire. It can bring poison to a body. It's a rudder that turns ships. So get to know that your voice and your words have power. So you need to declare that I'm grateful right now for X, Y, and Z. It's no good keeping it up here. You've got to speak it out into the atmosphere so that even on a psychological level, the particles are vibrating on a higher frequency. For those of you who do science, you know what I'm talking about, right? So that's the emotional safety struggles. Number 1, it's hard to relax into gratitude. Number 2, it associates optimism with vulnerability. Number 3 is gratitude feels fake if their emotional needs are not met right now. Here are 3 typical behaviors, as I said a little bit earlier on. One of the behaviors is that you cling to positive moments, but quickly spiral when things shift. You are clinging to positive moments. You're like, wonderful, we just had a great moment. You go and cling to it. But as soon as something doesn't go the right way, you disappear. Here, your mind goes into a frenzy. You've already started thinking the worst. You're even like thinking life is over. Your mind just spirals. And the reason why it spirals also is because you're not stopping it. I'm going to tell you something. Listen, you have power. Now, bar it being a chemical imbalance. If you're chemical imbalance, that is different. We cannot discuss that one. That one is for the birds. It's for the medications. But for those of you who aren't necessarily there, this is a mind thing. And what you have to realize is you've not warred in your mind. You want to do better, but you have not gone to war. Let me tell you what war is. The Bible says that, the weapons of warfare are mighty for the pulling down of strongholds. Stronghold. It holds strong in the mind. The mind needs to create new thoughts, new pathways through you decreeing and declaring. I'm not even just talking about prayer, but prayer is a part of that. But decreeing and declaring, meaning speak it out. When you have certain thoughts, you need to speak against those thoughts. When your mind goes into, it's going to go wrong, it's going to go wrong. Yeah, you're allowing your mind to dominate you with the thoughts of it's going to go wrong. So what's going to happen? The ones that have negative thoughts are going to win in the end. You see what I'm saying to you? So what you need to do, speak life into your situation. Speak life into it. Okay? So when it's going wrong, when things are not going right, what you must understand is there's always a lesson to learn. You don't have to allow yourself to go into the ditch. Okay? When things are spiraling, there's a lesson to learn. It's not a loss, it's a lesson. It's something I've had to really work with the Lord with on this aspect. That when things are not going the way you want it to go, you've done all you think you can do, it's still not going right. Right? That's an opportunity to say, there's a lesson to learn then. I better pay attention. I better see what's going on because there's a lesson to learn, not a loss. You see what I'm saying to you? Right? Okay, number 2, typical behavior of anxious people is to perform gratitude to feel lovable. So some of you, you're only doing what you're doing because you want the validation. You're only serving people because you want to hear the words, okay? You want to hear these words that you've done well or whatever. You know what I'm saying to you? So you only want to do things because you want the appraisal. You're being so helpful in your household, being so helpful with friends, being so helpful with the person you love. But really and truly, behind it, the motivation is because you want to be thanked. And you're afraid they're going to leave you. So if I don't do what I'm doing, then they will go. If I don't serve them, they'll leave. If I'm not of value, they'll leave. So I must perform. You know? You do over the top. You are so thankful for them. And I'm not saying you shouldn't thank them. By the way, you should thank people even for the smallest things. It's a powerful thing to do. It is a very powerful thing to do, to thank people for the smallest things. If they open a door for you to say, hey, thank you very much. It is very powerful for you that if somebody pulls a chair out for you, you say thank you. It's very powerful when someone drives you home that day and they've driven you home every single day, but, to say thank you each and every time you do it. It's very powerful. It's manners, first and foremost. But number 2, it's also very powerful because, of course, every human being needs validation. But when you do it with a motivation that you're doing it just so you can get reward, just so you can get pleased and be thanked, that's a different situation. When you're doing what you're doing just to be praised, that's a different situation. Very different situation. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Okay. Number 3 on behaviors is constantly compares the present to the possible losses, which is what I said earlier on. That they're constantly comparing the present to possible losses. Oh, sorry. So you're always wondering when we can lose, when we can go wrong, when it would go down the hill, when would it be finished, when would I suffer, when you're always thinking the negative. Why, Sha? Why are you so pessimistic? Everything pessimistic, everything can go wrong. What if it goes right? Thank you very much, Tina Yahoo. Thank you. Okay. So here are 3 core beliefs and attachment with an anxious person that aligns with being happy again. Number 1 of the beliefs is, if I relax, I'll lose what I have. If I relax, I'll lose what I have. Some of you don't know what rest is. Some of you don't know what rest is. Jesus rested. The Lord himself who created the heavens and the earth rested on the 7th day. You work 7 days a week. If you don't go and pack your bag and sit down, some of you don't know how to rest. You know this one. You have made church. Some of you, this is one. If it's not work, it's church for some of you. No, I'm going to tell you the truth. I have to pull someone's singlet. We have to tear it. Some of you, you're at church 6 days a week. You serve, you go to work, you come after work, you go and serve at the Lord of the house. And you're going to go like, the Lord should bless me. Listen, the Lord will bless you. Don't get twisted. But this thing where you don't rest, that's not of God. I'm going to tell you honestly. Some of you, you go to prayer meeting on the Monday. You're at the vigil on the Tuesday. You are at the Bible study the Wednesday. On the Thursday, you are also doing prayers. Then the Friday, you go and do help as an usher. Saturday, you will do you the first one. Then Sunday, we'll be happy at church. Listen, it's bondage. No. I'm not saying don't go to church. I didn't say that all. I didn't say don't serve. Listen to me very clearly what I'm saying to you. I did not say don't go to church. I have not said don't serve. You should serve. What I'm telling you is when the serving gets to a point where you yourself are beginning to have burnout, you are moving mad. That's not of God. You're not pleasing God in that space because God has created for there to be rest, the Sabbath. How come you got no rest days? How? Of course, I can blame your pastor. I can blame the church. But you yourself have to know you need rest. But you feel guilty. You feel guilty when you take a break. When you don't go to that Saturday vigil, you didn't go to the Friday one, your body starts feeling anxious. It feels guilty. And you think that's conviction. It's not conviction. It's your own guilt that you have attached your worth to serving. Because it doesn't align with scripture. I want to make it very clear. Some of you, your convictions don't even align with scripture. And you've been bamboozled. I'm just being honest with you and real with you. How is it you're in church 7 days a week, but you have no rest? You don't have time to see your kids. You don't have time to see your family. You don't have time to see friends. Every day you're working. How? Is that not what they wanted to cuss out Jesus for? When he was even trying to when he wanted to heal to heal the man that was on the Sabbath. They were telling him that it's a Sabbath. We don't do any of those works. And Jesus said, hey, my friend, I'm healing somebody. Which one of you, if their fowl fell down, would not pick them up? Why were they arguing with him? Because there's at least a day they need to rest. Why have you not rested? And it can be more than one day, it does not mean, you know what I'm saying to you? It can be more than one day. I'm not saying don't work. All I'm saying to you is there should be days of rest. You are not a machine. You are a person. And you see, what you don't realize is, if also I don't respect you, I'll also use you like a mule. If I also don't look at your best well-being and your welfare, and this is what look, as Africans, this will happen to us all the time. Of course, some of it is indoctrination, but some of it is slavery, okay, has done a number on us. But many of us work to the bone and you've got nothing to show from it. Why? Because you're not employing the principles. There needs to be rest. It's all well and good working hard, but we have to work smart. Do you see what I'm saying to you? So a lot of us carry that anxiety that we feel guilty when we're not moving. We feel guilty when we're not doing. We feel guilty when we relax. The moment you take a break. Because some of you grew up in households with your mum and dad where if you even lounged before 9 o'clock, they're coming to whip you. Have you done your homework? Have you looked after the kids? Have you cooked? Have you cleaned? Have you done this? Have you done that? You can't. You've never seen rest in your household. In your household, there's no rest. In your household, there's no rest. Your mum, you've never seen your mum rest. Your mum cooks, she cleans, come back from work, she serves your dad. Then she comes and serves you. And all you've ever seen your mum do is work her fingers to the bone. So you believe that's how you should also be. And yet you can feel that in your body and your mind and your soul that you are being stretched to a point that doesn't seem normal. So now, young boys who see their mum working to the bone are now also assuming that the girlfriend that they should also be with should work themselves to the bone, not realizing it's a slavery tactic, and they're not realizing that. I'm not even saying that the husband made the wife a slave. I'm saying it's a product of slavery, that you don't realize you're in bondage. When we talk about that, and when I say bondage, it is both a spiritual and a physical thing, right? So we can talk about our history of transatlantic slavery, but actually when we talk about bondage, we know that as Christians, there's a bondage that happens too. So the idea of bondage is not new. You understand what I'm saying to you? So now you see a young boy or a young man who now says, I want my wife to be working to the bone. And that's when I value her. Hey! That's when you value her, when she's working to the bone and she's tired and you can see that she's almost about to pass out. That's when, look at my wife, she works hard. She's a hard worker, you know? And you don't realize you're burning her out, bro. You're burning her out. And you too, as a woman, you're burning yourself out, trying to prove yourself to your husband. And reality of the situation is you're not taking no breaks, no rest. You're going to burn out. And guess what? When you burn out, there's resentment. There's anger. There's frustration. There's pain. Guess who gets the brunt of it? Your partner anyway. It'd be your partner that you get it all. It'd be your partner. You know how many stories we see on the internet of ladies saying that my husband doesn't help here, he doesn't help there, he doesn't do this, doesn't do that, and you're stressed. Why? Because you yourself have not actually learned how to put rest in place. You yourself don't even value rest. You know how we know you don't value rest. Some of you guys who get in relationships, you don't value rest. It's because if you did value it, you'd make sure it happened. But because you're so busy trying to receive your validation through the external sources of that relationship, and it's a two-way thing, all. You yourself, you won't rest. You feel guilty when you rest. What about the kids need me? My husband needs me. The church needs me. My mum needs me. My dad needs me. The grandkids need me. Everybody needs you. You don't need you. How can everybody need you, but you don't need you? My friend, are you a robot? You are going there because you yourself, right? You're saying that you yourself don't need this. You don't need this rest, and everybody else needs to rest because you're there. Think about what you're really saying. You're saying that everybody else is more important, which is what is an anxious thing. An anxious person, what tends to happen is they pedestalize other people. They say that they are better, they are more worthy. That's why I serve them, and me myself, I'm lower than them. That's why you don't take no rest. So from today, this is why a lot of you are not going to be happy. Because actually, you're not happy because you're burning yourself out. And you're now you go to work. You go to work and you get to workplace and you're pissed off already. You've entered the door frame and you're pissed off. And you're pissed off because you're already thinking to yourself, I've got so many tasks that are actually above and beyond my protocol of my particular job scope. I'm now stretched thin. Then I'm stretched thin at home. My partner, whether it's my parents, they stretch me there. And then I go to church, they stretch me there. And then I go with my friends and they stretch me there. And where am I not being stretched? Where will you be happy? When will you be happy? How will you be happy? Every time you're being stretched, why would you be happy? Happiness won't find you. Number 2, in core beliefs. Being hopeful makes me naive. So this is actually, a core belief. Being hopeful makes me naive. I kind of said this earlier on, that you being hopeful doesn't make you naive. But when you're being hopeful, in a sense of when you're being hopeful in relationships without looking at the evidence, then you are being naive. No. Listen, and this is what we call blind faith. Some of you, let me talk about it from a Christian perspective and talk about it from a physiological perspective. Bear with me. I call this thing blind faith. Look, sometimes the way that we teach faith in the Christendom is we teach it like, just have faith in anything. No, faith is a revelation. Let me help somebody. Let me say it again. Faith is a revelation. It is to be revealed by the Father. Meaning, you can have hope in something. Like, I can hope that my mum will be... There are many people here who have had a mum or a dad that have been sick and they've prayed for them. Why did the Lord not heal them? Is it because the Lord is not good? Is it because the Lord didn't hear your prayers? No. It is because to have faith in the situation, right? One must understand that God has to reveal it to you. It's nothing wrong with believing. There's nothing wrong with believing, but there's a revelation that God will give you to say, this person, yes, I agree, I will be healing them. And if you pray and you hear what God says, He says, I'm not healing them, it does not nullify that God is good. It means to say that God has a will, and the will is, it's a no. So now your prayer changes. Do you see? That's where, because what ends up happening is Christians get disappointed because they're like, God didn't hear me. God didn't answer my prayer. God doesn't like me. God doesn't love me. And again, a lot of those times is because our parents also they're doing the same thing, right? So we impute what we feel about our parents onto God Himself anyway, right? So like, oh, God disappoints me. He doesn't listen to me. Doesn't hear me. I put my faith in Him and doesn't. No, He heard you. The answer was no, because faith is a revelation. It's a revealment. Matthew, I think Matthew 16 verse 18, Peter, the Lord Jesus Christ says to him, who do men say that I am? And He says, you are the Son of the living Christ. He said, this one has not been revealed to you by man. It's been revealed to you by the Father. Faith is a revelation. I'm not saying you can't believe for things. I'm not saying don't have it. The Bible says in Psalms 37, if you go and read it, I don't want to preach, but let me preach just a little bit. Let me preach a little bit. I'm in the mood. I can feel my spirit working. Let me preach a little bit. Psalms 37 is a great scripture. because it talks about how that the Lord will grant the desires of your heart, right? It talks about this, what you want in your heart. Listen, the Lord can grant it, okay? But the reality is He's transformed your heart. That's why the desires of your heart then come through. The you wanting what you're wanting is cool. You can have it, but the Lord needs to transform your heart so it works in alignment with what He wants for you. So when the Bible says in Psalms 37 verse 3, trust in the Lord and do good, dwell in the land and befriend faithfulness. Then it says, delight yourself in the Lord and He will give you the desires of your heart. The delighting means to first and foremost be able to congregate a relationship with the Lord. Get yourself in alignment. Get yourself invoked in the will. Understand what He's asking of you. Begin to align yourself to be more like Christ. The Bible says that He conforms us to the image of the Son, so that now your heart is in alignment with what His will is. Therefore, when you are now asking, it happens. Why? Because you're already in alignment. The same way that when you and your husband or you and your wife, when you guys are locked in, you know there's couples where the husband or the wife can say, I already know my wife will say no. They're locked in. They know. They know each other. Yeah? Their hearts have been locked in. You know that when you go to the husband say, hey. My wife, I know already she will not. This is not things she will play with. Please, let's not entertain that. You know already. You go to the wife will say, hey, please. My husband, I know his heart. This will not work for him. Let's stop it here. You understand? They know each other's heart. They know each other. They know and they know each other's will to a degree where they're like, I know what other person would say. They're not going to be on that. Stop it. That's where you need to be with the Lord, so that when you do pray, you're also in alignment with His will. You know what I'm saying to you? But that's another story for another day. Coming back to what I'm talking about, being anxious, okay? About being hopeful makes me naive, okay? When you can be hopeful. There's nothing wrong with being hopeful. We should be, you know? It's important to be hopeful. It's important to be able to get to a place where you can have that hope within yourself, right? We can hope things. Being hopeful isn't naive. It's when you're seeing the evidence in front of you, and the evidence is telling you this ain't it. Now, of course, if the Lord then reveals it to you, that's a different story. We're taking the Lord out of it. We're talking about just in general psychological aspect here. You can see the evidence. This is what happens, and people get into bad relationships. Let me tell you something. People get into really bad relationships because they go, I'm a lover boy. I'm a lover girl. And what they really tell you is, I'm really hopeful, but I'm naive. Why? Because I ignore the red flags. Now, that's completely different. Being hopeful is not a problem. I can hope that you'll be a great partner, but I'm also going to be aware that I'm going to be like, okay, let me look at the evidence. Are you somebody who's supportive? No. Are you somebody who takes care of me? No. Are you this person? No. Oh, I realized no. Okay, I was hopeful. Don't get twisted, but that ain't it. You know what I'm saying to you? That ain't it. You know what I'm saying to you? So you can be hopeful. It's nothing wrong with being hopeful. We're not throwing that out the window. I don't want you to throw that out the window. Be hopeful. It's good to be hopeful. You know what I'm saying to you, right? Faith, love, and hope are these three things. Okay? Faith, love, and hope. So hope is powerful. It's needed. We're not saying to throw it away. Don't throw away the hope. I'm just saying to you, when it comes to certain issues, like, you do have to look at the reality of the situation. Unless the Lord has said it Himself. And if He's not involved in that, then look at it for what it actually is. You know what I'm saying to you? Cool. Things go wrong when I let my guard down. Okay, it's a really big belief. Many of you believe that if you let your guard down, things are going to go wrong. And you know what? And it's funny enough, you probably experienced it. When you did let your guard down, it did go wrong. But maybe you're a micromanager, and that's why it went wrong. Because you've been micromanaging and not allowing other things or allowing other people to do what it needs to do. And so when you did take your hand off it, of course it fell apart. You were integral to the whole thing. Of course it fell apart. Yeah, because you were integral to the whole thing. You never gave it room to have wings anywhere else. It was solely attached to you. You get what I'm saying to you? Let me preach a little bit again for those who are anxious. Let me preach a little bit again. Okay? Some of you need to allow the Lord to do what the Lord will do. Some of you are trying to help Him stop. Read Galatians 3 in the Message version. You know what I'm saying to you? I want to bring this to your attention. Read Galatians 3, okay, all right, by the Message version. Why? Because it tells us what real faith is. It says faith is about allowing God to do for you, not you doing for Him. Now, why is that important? Because anxious people are always trying to do for other people. they don't allow others to do for themselves. They don't allow others to do for them, because they're always thinking about how they can be of value. Like, if I'm not doing for you, then I'm not valuable. And that's how some of you deal with God. Like, if I don't serve, if I don't go to the church, if I don't do this, if I don't go into the worship, I don't do that, then God won't value me. And that's not actually what it is. See, God is the most secure person you can ever meet. If you're talking about secure attachment, God is the quintessential secure attachment. So when we're looking at it from that perspective, that lens, if God is telling you that, listen, true faith is actually you allowing him to do for you, when you're always in a position of doing for others and they're not allowed to do for you because you're always doing and moving. Yes, it's a Mary and Martha situation, because one of them wouldn't sit down and was serving in the kitchen. When you're always consistently trying to serve, what you actually miss is rest, number one. And number two, things will go wrong. Things will go wrong. When things will go wrong, like you letting your guard down, it's not because you let your guard down, it went wrong. It went wrong because you were instrumental to everything. You had your hand in everything. So as soon as you removed your hand, of course it failed. Of course it failed. Right? Of course it did. You micromanaged everything. Right? You micromanaged everything. So, and because you're afraid of being abandoned, you've put your hand in every single pot. My friend, remove it. Step back. Step back. Okay? All right, that's the anxious people. Now, let's deal with dismissive avoidance. Yes, be still is a great word. Be still and let go that I am God. So be still and let him fight for you. Okay? Number two, let's deal with avoidance now. Okay? We're going to deal with dismissive, avoidant people. Dismissive, avoidant people. Okay? Now, for dismissive avoidance, they feel like if they get too happy, it's a dangerous place to be too happy. If you're an avoidant, you know this one. If you're dismissive avoidant, you know it's too dangerous to be happy. Yeah, because I'll be honest with you, if I start feeling that happiness, it's a little bit too scary to feel all that happiness. Why do I feel that good? I'm feeling good? No. Something's wrong. I should never be feeling good for that long. It doesn't feel right. It's overwhelming. It's too consuming. No. Where I need to be is neutral. I need to be neutral. I shouldn't be happy. I should be neutral. Yeah, that's what I'm saying to you. Yeah. I should just be like level. Because if I spike, what if I come down? No. I need to be neutral. I need to be flat. Yeah, because when you go too high, you just, no. Go too low there, no. I want to be neutral. I want to be across the plane. So happiness, no, I can't deal with it. When I get happy, no. No, let's not resonate in that energy too much. It needs to be level. Okay? All right? It needs to be level. All right? So here are 3 emotional safety struggles. Okay? Difficulty expressing gratitude or warmth without feeling awkward. Okay? All right? Difficulty expressing gratitude or warmth without feeling awkward. Difficulty expressing gratitude, warmth without feeling awkward. So a lot of times, for dismissive avoidant people, you want to tell maybe, for instance, somebody that, how great your life has been. You're like, they'll ask you, so how's your life been? Yeah, it's been cool, Yeah, it's been all right. Meanwhile, your job promoted you. You got a brand new car. Your wife, your wife had a baby, and you're being you're in your best financial position, but you're here saying, it's cool, like, just obviously money's good, wife is good, kids are good, what I'm saying to you, it's good. How you doing? No expansion, nothing. As soon as you instead of you to be grateful and say, can I be honest with you? I feel good. I've been blessed. I've done wonderful, I've been doing wonderful things. God has been opening my eyes to things. I've seen that I've come to a new dimension, new place. My work, I've had some difficulties and I'm overcoming. Like, you can't get excited. You ever notice that? You can't get excited. You feel foolish being excited. It feels stupid to be that excited. Am I a kid? Why am I that excited? And what you don't realize is your joy has been robbed. Your joy has been robbed. Your joy has been robbed. Hold on. Your joy has been robbed. I want to find a scripture verse. I wonder if I can find it. I want to see if I can find the scripture. Hopefully it'll come to me. But okay. Um okay, it'll come to me, it'll come to me, it'll probably come to me. But yeah, your joy's been robbed. You know what I'm saying to you? Right? So Boyfrey said the evil eye is real. Yes, of course, but the reality is we're talking about with people you trust. Oh wait, you don't trust people. That's the killer kick. That's actually the real killer kick. Dismissive people don't trust people. They only trust themselves. So when they say evil eye, they include everybody in the evil eye. Even if my friend, I trust you, I have to be careful what I say to you because you might get a little bit jealous. Who knows? I know you, but just in case. Just in case. No, just in case. Just in case. I have to be careful. I can't trust anybody. Shoot, you may have been my friend for the last 15 years, but I gotta be careful. Also, I know that maybe, the last day or whatever, you expressed that you weren't feeling too good. So I don't wanna say my piece and, you know what I'm saying to you. Yeah, I don't want anyone to feel some way. Yeah. So me, I'm always making sure, because I have covered my bases. And you don't realize you're robbing yourself of the joy. You're robbing yourself of the joy. The joy, part of the joy is the conversation, the integration, the socialism that we have with people. That's where some of the joy comes from, right? We see that Mary and Elizabeth, when she was pregnant, the baby leapt in her womb. Like, it recognized a moment. It got excited. But you, when it comes to you, we ask you how you're doing. I'm good. So how's work going? You know what? Can't complain. Okay, how's your husband or your wife? They are doing okay. You know, we are getting along. How are the kids? I know they had a birthday last week. How was the birthday? Birthday was good. We had a time. The wife organized things. Things are happening to you and you are not able to rejoice. You have difficulty explaining and being warm. Aye! And someone said it in the chat, it's actually a really big thing, is that you struggle to even compliment people. And you know what? It makes you a hater, you know? No, me, I'm going to tell you the truth. I'm a dismissive, avoidant person who's growing to be more secure. That you don't realize it happens to you. Because you can't celebrate yourself, you find it hard to celebrate others. You are a hater. Some of you, and me included, we become the biggest haters. And it's not because you hate the other person. It's because you're not comfortable expressing gratitude and giving yourself plaudits. So other people, you're like, when they're winning, you're like, I mean, if I was to do it, I could do it. I mean, it's not like you didn't have help. You know what I'm saying to you? It's not like they had structure, so it's not like that. You know what I mean? So it's like, sometimes you just become a hater, but it's actually really what's actually happening is you don't celebrate yourself. You don't actually celebrate yourself. Because you don't celebrate yourself, you find it hard to celebrate other people. So even then, you know, at certain points where you should be more help, and I'm not saying they can't do it. We're not saying they can't do it at all. We're saying there are moments where you become the hater. And it's because you're not congruent with your own emotions about how you deal with you. So when you, for instance, you know what happened to me? It was so funny. The Sunday came past. I was playing football with a young boy, 15 years old. He asked me, what do I do? I said, I'm a content creator. He said, a content creator? What do you do? I said, I do YouTube and I do TikTok. He said, YouTube? How many people got you on YouTube? I said to him, oh, just 90,000 people. 90,000 people? What do you mean you got 90,000 people on YouTube? That's crazy. And I'm here like, it's 90,000 people, bro. But bro, it's not, that's crazy how many people you got following you. I said, bro, there are people here with 3 million, 5 million. 90,000 is not something you need to be jumping up and down for. Kids is wilding out, telling me, how can you be so... A 15-year-old told me, I need to stop minimalizing. That was the actual word he used. He said to me, why are you minimalizing it? I said, because, bro, it's normal. It's 90K. I said, when you get there, you won't even think about celebrating like that. But I realized I was projecting in that moment. What do you mean he won't be celebrating? Of course he might be celebrating. Because he's not thinking about it the same way I am. I'm minimalizing my achievements because of the way I feel. Do you see what I'm saying to you? I small it up. So also, how am I going to big up other people if I'm not bigging up myself? Some of you, you know, you got that humble brag. You know, I want to say humble brag. You guys got that fake humility. I'm gonna be honest with you. I'm gonna call some of you out. Me included. Me included. You know that fake humility where someone goes, "Oh, like, so you're doing amazing," and you're like, "Yeah, like, obviously I'm not. It is what it is. It is what it is." "Oh, you're so humble." Shut up. You're not humble. Shut it. You're not humble. You're not humble. You're not humble. You're swallowing yourself up. You're swallowing yourself up. And the reason why is because when you were a kid, nobody celebrated you. The reason why is because nobody celebrated you. So now you do this. I'm humble. I don't big myself up. And in fact, do you know the one that really infuriates me? And it's so funny because I'm sure I do the exact same thing to other people, which is why I don't get angry at them. The thing that will annoy you most is the people that are flamboyant. You know those people that seem almost like they're on the line of being arrogant. And you look at them like, look how arrogant they are. They're freaking annoying. They just seem so arrogant. You think because you're being humble, you're not humble. You're not humble. You're just not being honest. And because you don't know how to celebrate yourself, you see someone else embracing themselves and celebrating themselves, and you go, that's arrogant. Is it? I mean, some people are. But is it really? Or is it because you yourself, you don't know how to celebrate yourself? Do you get? Now, I'm not talking about a celebration where you completely just, go completely wild and everything. Of course, the Bible even says that let men praise you. But what I'm saying to you is there should be a level of confidence. If you come to me and say to me, you say, "Oh, could you do a video for me?" I'm going to tell you, listen, hey, it's going to cost you a certain amount of money before I can do the ad. Why am I being arrogant? No, I know my worth. And I refuse to play small. But I play small because oftentimes we have not been celebrated. So we don't want to appear like we're being arrogant or unhumble. The reality is it's not humble to keep yourself small. Not when God has said you're a big person. And big doesn't mean you have to have 700,000 people following you. I'm talking about you are a big person because you are who you are. Do you understand what I'm saying to you? Right? It's not humble. We didn't see Jesus do small. I'm just a small Hebrew person. Hey, I'm just a Nazarene. You know what I'm saying to you? I'm just a prophet. You don't hear Jesus doing these things. It's not to say that you shouldn't be humble. It's to say that some things are not actually humility. It's just you smalling yourself up. And that's an emotional issue. It's because you don't celebrate yourself regularly. So for those of you who are dismissive, start celebrating yourselves. Okay? Start celebrating yourselves. When you achieve something, celebrate the achievement. Okay? Do not minimalize it. Okay? Number 2, keeping emotions neutral to stay in control. Oh, Agnes asks, how do you celebrate yourself? By whether it's just giving yourself a verbal praise, whether it's a pat on the back, and I mean that seriously, literally sometimes, whether that's just you being able to soak in the moment, say, listen, I've done something here, Well done. Well freaking done. I've done something here. Even you sharing that with a close friend saying, hey, look, I just wanted to share my achievement with you. Last week, I said I was going to fast for 3 days. I made it to the 3rd day. I'm very happy about it. And share it with somebody. And if that person also craps on your parade, they're probably not your friend. And actually, it's good that you've become to heal because now you can see they're not actually your good friend. Do you see what I'm saying to you? Some of you have got friends who are not your friends. But because you don't expand yourself, that's why they're still with you. They are actually an enemy in progress and you don't realize. Some of people haven't got friends. They're not they are your best enemy. And they're the best enemy because they're close to you. And the moment you begin to heal, the moment you get boundaries, the moment you value yourself, the moment you get self-esteem, the moment that you begin to expand, you'll realize some people can't handle your expansion. They are not your friend, they are your enemy, and they've been your enemy, and they've been keeping tabs on you the whole entire time, and they enjoy the fact that you never expanded yourself. My friend, if you don't expand yourself, Joe, relax and expand yourself. Don't play the small game with me. There's no need. You are a big person. You understand what I'm saying to you? Number 2, keeps emotions neutral to stay in control. I said to you earlier on, this whole I'm not attached person is a lie. We are not robots. There's no such thing. Me, I don't get attached to people. Since when? No, we know you say this one. Dismissive avoidance, this is your key one. Me, I don't get attached like that. I don't get easily attached like that. Me though, listen, I can cut people off quickly. Hey, and you're rejoicing. Me, I can cut people off quickly. You and fearful avoidance, this is a habit you guys have. You be like, oh, I can cut people off quick. Me, I know this one. This is my favorite one. I cut people off quick. I'm always scanning to make sure. Me, I'll cut you off before you even realize. You will just realize your number's blocked. You call and it's going, kong, 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 kong. You just realize you've been blocked. I won't even say anything. But it's not beautiful. It's not wonderful. It's not wonderful to do so. Okay, so keeping your emotions neutral to stay in control, whilst it's a great thing, it's called stoicism, but it can be also a case of being emotionally regulated in some respects. It does work in some respects, but it doesn't work if you're supposed to be showing emotion and you don't show emotion. Let me give you an example. Your friend, their parent, you see, in Africa, we have this thing, right? When someone passes away, when people come to the house, it doesn't matter who you are. We could begin to cry and wail. We'll begin to cry and wail. The Bible says there's a time for rejoicing and a time for mourning. Rejoice with those who rejoice. Mourn with those who mourn. There's a time. In that time where we're mourning, you are like, I don't cry. I mean, I don't shed tear. I don't cry. I'm strong. You're not gonna catch me being emotional in this moment. Meanwhile, this is a time to be emotional. This is a time to actually explore the emotions that you're actually feeling. The anger, the resentment, the pain, the disappointment, the hurt. You're supposed to be exploring those emotions, but you said no. Look, when I get home and I'm alone, maybe I'll express something. But until then, I'm cool. And many of you have not actually done the grieving process. This is actually a big issue. For dismissive avoidance, it's a big issue. A lot of you have not done the grieving process. So what ends up happening is it catches up with you later on. And then you wonder why some of you, not all of, by the way, again, there is clinical depression. I want to make it very clear. I'm not talking about this one. But there is a type of depression that happens where some of you, because you've not dealt with the core issues within yourself, it's like, if you're emotionally constipated, you will not feel good. If you're physically constipated, you will not feel good. If you are constipated physically, do you know how, when you're backed up, is it nice? When you're backed up, does it feel nice? And doesn't it not creep up on you, constipation? One day you'll be happy, next minute tomorrow, you are squeezing and it's like someone wants to burst the banks. I swear about the analogy, but you know what I'm saying to you? You know what I'm saying to you? When you're backed up like that, it's not a pretty sight. When you're emotionally backed up, it's not a pretty sight. When you're emotionally backed up, it's not a pretty sight either. And that's what's happened to a lot of you. You don't deal with the core aspects of what's happening to you and what you've experienced, and it backs up on you. It's got to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. It's got to go somewhere. And so some of you are you're literally just moving through life. Like you've lost years because you're just moving through life. You almost if you can't even recall what happened the last few years. Many of us, that happened in COVID. In COVID time, especially those who are dismissive, you lost years in COVID. You don't even remember what happened in COVID. You just remember you were in COVID, that's all. Right? Because again, a lot of us are moving through life and we're not tuned in. We've tuned out. So we've lost a year or two, not really even thinking about what's going on. And we're like, where did that year go? Where did that 2 years go? Where did my last 5 years go? Some of you are in marriages. Sorry to say it. I don't want to ruin anybody's marriage. Some of you are in marriages. You've tuned out. You've dismissed how you really feel because you want to keep that relationship so bad. You've tuned out. You've lost. I'm so sorry. That was a spider, but it is what it is. You tuned out. You've tuned out. That relationship that you're in, that you've been for 9 years. Some of you, you know that you were in a relationship for 9 years, but for 6 of it, you're tuned out. Don't tell me you're long. I do long relationships. No, you were tuned out for 6. Darling, you weren't there. Okay? You weren't there. You weren't connected to your emotions. Right? Me, I did a 5-year stint. But for 4 years, you were tuned out. You was not connected. Someone said it was a one-on-one session. DM me and I'll send you a link. DM me and I'll send you a link. So it's like, you know these situations, people be in situations, your work, same thing. Some of you have been in that workplace for a decade. You've tuned out. You don't care about the work, but you're tuned out, bro. It's become so routine. You go to work, you come home. 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 5 days are done. The next 2 days of weekend, you're not tuned in still. So it's just like 2 days, and it's not even 2 days, it's one day, because when Friday hits, Saturday's your only real day, because Sunday, everybody's only just getting ready for Monday. So Sunday, you can't even relax, because by Monday, we're back on it again. You're tuned out. Life is not enjoyable. But because you wanna be this, I wanna be neutral of my emotions. And you don't realize by being neutral, a lot of times it's not regulated. You're out of tune. You should be feeling things. You should be feeling things. You are a human being. As a human being, God created you to have emotions, and He created you to be tuned in. That's why when someone, I'm going to say something for you. Some of you are Christians. Those of you, when you allow the Spirit to move in you, you suddenly start crying. You don't cry at all at home, but when you start to pray, you start to cry. Why? The Spirit's moving. He's overrided your psychological and your physiological. He's overrided it. That's why some of you start praying and then you fall to the ground and you don't want to move because He's overrided your sensibility. Some of you, you're too sensible for your own good, so He overrides. No, I'm overriding it. Yeah, you started praying in tongues and now you can feel people's burdens. But when you don't pray, you don't feel nobody's burdens. Yeah, because your spirit's overriding what is your natural survival instinct. Turn off the emotions because I feel too much. And the reason why a lot of you turn it off is because actually you're very sensitive. You're too sensitive. Yeah, they'll tell you that you're gangster, but really and truly, you're a very sensitive person. That's the reason why you actually turn it off, because what's happening is you're overloaded. There's too much processing going on. Let me give you an example of what happens. As a child, you're supposed to build capacity to receive emotional information and to be able to give it. But as a child who grew up in a dismissive household, you were robbed of that opportunity. So what tends to happen is you don't build the capacity. So when you get older, what ends up happening is you say this, I don't have the capacity. You genuinely say to people, I don't have the capacity to be dealing with your emotions, and then their emotions as well. It's just too much. And then you feel overwhelmed. And when something feels overwhelmed, you are what? Going to do what? Shut down. You're going to shut down. Shut down. Look, let me tell you something. Me, I'm not ashamed to say what happened. I cry. I cry a lot. When I say cry a lot, what I really mean by that is the only time I'm going to cry is when I'm watching a movie. If I'm watching a movie or a TV series by myself, by the way, there's also a very important thing. Again, that just shows, I'm still being dismissive because I can't show my true feelings with other people, right? It doesn't matter what movie it is. If I see happiness, I begin to weep a little bit, like, wow, that was amazing. You know, I love the fact that he got happy. I love the fact that he got what he wanted in the end. I'm happy. If you're sad in a movie, I'm also crying. Wow, that was so sad. Hey, this is emotional. I cannot believe it. You know, whatever it is, I tend to identify with it. But when I'm alone, you know, mine's so bad. I can feel the emotion so bad that I was watching F1. F1 is not really a crying movie. I'm going to be honest with you. But when I saw that, you know, our brother, Damson Idris, you know, spun out towards the end. I'm not going to ruin the movie, but let me just say he spun out at a particular point. I began to get emotional, like, oh my gosh. Oh. I said, what a sacrifice. That's another one that gets me. When I start crying, when I see people doing sacrifice, and I'm not talking about the witchcraft one. I'm talking about the one where they love that person so much, they sacrifice to that person. That one really gets me. I'm there. I'm like, oh no, that's it. It's gone. It's like, oh, I'm done. When I start seeing that, I'm out. Send me on with my way, bro, because I'm gone. Like, how do you mean that you're sacrificing for someone that you love like that? What do you mean there's no greater love than you for you to sacrifice for your friends? What do you mean? You gonna tell me that he gonna give up the lead so his friend can win the race? Oh! But what I don't realize, and what you realize is, what's happening is, that's the only time you feel safe. You feel safe showing emotions when you're alone. This is me. I'm still working on it. Okay? Because I watched F1 in the cinema. You should have seen the way I was hiding my face when I wanted to do it. I couldn't even properly emote the way I usually do. Otherwise, I would have cried normally. Straw had me broken, bro. Straw had me broken. I was crying several times. Straw had me broken several times. I cried several times. I'm sorry. I don't want to hear anything. I sat with my computer and I didn't even get to even finish my meal properly because I was distraught. Shoot. Anyway, so you only feel safe expressing those emotions like that when you are alone. Because when you do it in front of other people, you feel conscious and you feel like you're going to be judged. That's an indication that we're not fully okay with all our emotions. We don't feel safe showing some of those emotions that seemingly seem very vulnerable. Because we're afraid of being labeled as being weak. Okay? So it's important that, you keeping emotions neutral to stay in control. It's a good thing. Let's say there's an argument going on. Yes. But if even within the argument, you still got to be able to show some level of emotional connectivity, some level of emotional sensitivity. Because when you act so cold, there's a level of control where you're like, okay, I want to hear what you're saying. I'm not allowing my emotions to fester and go mad. And there's a level of control that becomes very cold, where it doesn't matter. You're like, okay, go on then. Yeah, see what you got to say. Now you're going to be accused of not showing any emotion. And then you're going to be like, so what do you want to do? I want to show emotion? You get on my nerves. I don't show emotion? You're not realizing you're not balanced. You can be regulated, but still be connected. You can be regulated and still be sensitive. But you haven't found that balance just yet. Okay? That's what I said. All right, number 3. Okay, you feel exposed or phony when practicing gratitude aloud. You feel exposed or phony when practicing gratitude aloud. Sometimes it can be very difficult unless you feel it. It's like, you should say well done, but it's like, I didn't really feel it, so I didn't say, so I'm struggling to say well done, and it feels fake. I just spat there, sorry. You know the ones there, where it's like, you should say, what you should say. Like, I should say, well done, congratulations. And in fact, in your head, you've planned a beautiful speech. You said to them, in your head, you said, well done, I can't believe you've made this. Like, the journey, I've watched you go from A to B. Like, it's so wonderful to see what the Lord has done in your life. I love this. In your head, you've said it. But what comes out your mouth is, well done. You've done well. But in your head, you had a whole speech. But when it comes out your mouth, it's like, just well done. You've done well. That's all you can muster. That's all you can muster. But in your head, you have a whole speech. You don't feel safe. You don't feel safe expressing full gratitude, and that is because you feel like you're going to be a phony or a fake. The reality of the situation is you need to practice doing it more to make it not feel fake. That's actually the kicker. The kicker is the more you practice being grateful and also appreciating other people, the more it's going to come naturally to you. The less you do it, the more phony it's going to feel every time you do it. Thank you very much, Tina. Okay? Now, 3 typical behaviors, okay, is you downplay positive feelings. Okay, you say, oh, it's fine, nothing special, da-da-da-da-da. Okay, all right. Number 2, avoid deep gratitude, conversations, or future hopes. Listen, this is one of my big ones too. That's a big one. You know the ones where you avoid deep gratitude or, gratitude conversations or future hopes. Hey, this one, dismissive avoidance. Don't want to talk about that future, boy. Just in case, bro. I don't want to get trapped. I don't want to get trapped. So, I don't want to, you know what I'm saying to you? I don't want to say anything, because if I say it, then you're going to hold me to it. No, let's not talk about that just yet. You know what I mean? So sometimes you avoid those conversations. Number 3, you focus on tasks or logic to bypass emotional vulnerability. Some of you intellectualize your emotions. Oh, now that one, I was called out by the therapist on this one. Man, I didn't understand what they were saying until later on. She said, you intellectualize your emotions. Intellectualize emotions? How do you do that? What do you mean? You're not actually connected to your emotions. So instead of actually talking and instead of actually feeling your emotions, you're talking around them. I can see you tend to go into third person. I can see why I would get angry in that particular perspective, because sometimes people do certain things, and I can see why that would happen. And you start giving multiple perspectives. Like, okay, so before I got angry, I have to understand. You need to understand that first and foremost, my mum, my history, obviously she did so obviously my reaction has to be in alignment with hers, isn't it? But then obviously my dad, and you start explaining 5 or 6 different perspectives before we get to your actual emotions. You know what I'm saying to you? Someone else, when did I start going to therapy? I went last year, and I went for like 8 months. 2024, I went for 8 months. I had a session every week. But yeah, so you focus on tasks and logic to bypass emotional vulnerability. So you're actually not being vulnerable. You're not actually connecting with the emotion, right? So like if I ask you, are you angry? You'd be like, no, I'm not angry. You're not connecting. You know you're angry. Your body is even doing, and I'm asking, are you angry? No. Meanwhile, your body is showing us that you're angry. I'm saying to you, your whole physique and frame is showing us that you're angry. You just told someone to shut up and you're saying that you're not angry? No, that's not anger. And it's because you're disassociated from your emotions. So a lot of times what tends to happen is we're now naming the emotion. No, I'm not angry. You know? And a lot of the actual, for instance, you know, instead of naming it, saying like, okay, for instance, like, so what you might do a substitute emotion. Okay, so they might be like, they might be doing like, okay, so you might say, why didn't you apply for that job? And they'll tell you, well, to be honest, when I looked at the specifications, I knew I wasn't, I looked at it and I said, I don't think I'll actually qualify for it. Oh, so you're afraid? Afraid? What? No, that's sensible. Don't you get the logic? I read the thing and I didn't think I was qualified. So you're afraid? No, I mean, that's realism. I was real about it. Like, I'm realistic. I'm a realist. You know what I'm saying to you? You're just saying that, but you're not a realist. That's why you're saying what you're saying. But realize you don't even deep it. You're fearful. You're afraid to tap into that emotional fear. A lot of people are, by the way. A lot of people are afraid to tap into they're afraid of being afraid. That's what's crazy about it. They're actually afraid of being afraid. So then they'll cover it up with something else. Anger. Right? And a lot of men do this as well too, right? Specifically for us as men, we do this a lot, right? We cover up our fear with anger. Really and truly, we're afraid. We were scared. I was frightened. I was fearful. Right? And instead of expressing that, we'll say, no, can't disrespect me. Actually, you felt afraid. You did feel frightened by what they did. Disrespected is top of the tree, but at the bottom, really is you were afraid. And that's okay. Nothing wrong with that. You know? So that's, again, so these are things. Okay? Okay, core beliefs, again. Three core beliefs of dismissive avoidant is that hope makes you dependent. So dismissive avoidants believe that if I'm hopeful, it makes me dependent. You know, again, for dismissive avoidants, they believe that they have control over it. I can control my destiny. I have to put the effort in. I have to put the work in. Dismissive avoidants are super accountable. Sometimes too accountable. They try to be accountable for things you can't account for. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, the rain came down and there was a flood. That's why you couldn't go to the gym. Yeah, but you know what? If I had gone out at 3 o'clock, I'd have had a gym session and I'd have been back before the flood came. I just got to be accountable. Nigga, what? You know what I mean? Like, whilst I actually underhit it, you're absolutely right. But broski, like, and it's because you know what I mean? Like, you're accountable is good, but you're almost doing a bit too much accountability. You know what I'm saying to you? So that's so for dismissal of what is hope makes you dependent. It feels like, right? Number 2, gratitude is weak or performative. You being grateful is weak or performative. You know, and I want to make you understand. Listen, it doesn't make you performative. It will feel performative at first because you've never really done it. Okay, all right. So it's understandable. Someone said, "Do you think you can have different attachments in different areas of your life?" Some say can, in some aspect, but I would say that a lot of times, again, it depends on that relationship. So there is some aspect of that. But also I would say as well that sometimes people are fearful avoidance, which are both anxious and avoidant, and they don't realize that their family affects them in a way that they change their position. So like if your family is very anxious, it might make you more avoidant with your family. But then your boyfriend's very avoidant, so now you're very anxious with them. You're probably just more fearful avoidant. More than likely you might be a fearful avoidant than anything. But because it depends on who you spend most time with, right? So again, it might look a certain way. So that's also important to consider. And also for dismissive avoidance, this is a big thing. If I care too much, I'll lose control. That's a big one. Look, that falling in love stuff, what the heck is that? No, what the heck is that? Falling in love, what is that? You know, dismissive avoidance, you know that. What is falling in love? Why am I falling in love for? Nah, man, when you start falling in love, that's when you start acting stupid and dumb. If you fall in love, that's when you start seeing the nonsense that people start to do. If I fall in love, I'll be out of control. I can't allow myself to care about you too much. If I care about you too much, there'll be problems for myself. That's when you might start doing the nonsense you'll start doing. You know what I'm saying to you? If I care too much, that's when you're going to start trying to take advantage of me. No. I must hold some back just to make sure that the day that you become crazy, I can also lash you back. And it will not be that I'm stuck somewhere or I'm hurt because of what you've done. In reality, what you're really saying is, I can't give myself to people because actually, really and truly, how I feel is that no one gave themselves to me. No one gave themselves to me. So I can't trust to give myself to you. And if I do, it takes me a long time. If I do, it takes me a very long time. You have to have been there, bro. Like, the only way I can give myself is that you have to have been there. Like, if there was a war, you were right next to me. If there wasn't, what are we talking about here? You know what I'm saying to you? You cooler than that. Hey, we're cooler than that. But let's not do too much. Were you with me? Were you with me when there was a hurricane and there was nothing else going on? I had to survive. If you were, then I probably will trust you. But if there wasn't, bruh. A deeper experience, exactly. A deeper experience. I like that wording. There should be a deeper experience. You know what I mean? It's like, I can't trust you because, bro, I need to make sure that, you know what? I need to make sure that I need to make sure that you've been there. You know what I mean? I need to make sure. Or, you know what? You've been so consistent, you won me over. That's another one. Like, you know what? Listen, I'm going to be honest with you. A lot of my, in the past, I remember I had a best friend, a boy best friend before I gave my life to Christ, right? Do you know how that brother won me over? That brother used to call me every single day. I used to ask myself, what the frick is he calling me every single day for? Why? Why does he need to call me every day? What's wrong with him? And every day I'll pick up the phone and be like, yo, what's good? And I'm like, what were you even going to talk about? Bro, that boy became my best friend, boy. We were inseparable. In fact, people, when they see us, we're like cousins. They said, you guys are cousins. He was light skinned, I was dark skinned, but it was like cousins. If you saw me, you saw him. If you knew it was me, you knew it was him. Like, we were that inseparable. But the first few weeks, I said, why is he calling me? Why? What's the point? Why you keep calling me, bro? Come on, man. You know what I'm saying to you? What is it? You get. So it's like, you don't realize. So it's like someone has to jump over your fences. You've got very tall walls, not fences. You've got very tall walls. And it's like, it takes someone special jump over. But that's also why you get into bad relationships. Oh, I'm going to talk to somebody today. That's why you get into bad relationships. That's why dismissive, avoidant people get into bad relationships. Because the people that are, and ladies, this is for you too. Some of you, if you're fearful, avoidant, or dismissive, pay attention to this part. You have very high walls. You are conned when you think that person's consistent when they really were persistent. What tends to happen for a lot of people, especially the ladies, is that men can be very persistent. Now, first and foremost, if you don't like me and I'm being persistent, I need to let you go. Why is that the person that you want to even like? If that person's not giving me anything, why do I keep persisting? They are a pest. And what tends to happen is their persistence pays off. And then because they've been so persistent, they enter past the wall that you've always built. And now the dismissive avoidant is just open. They're just open. Because if you can get past the high wall, there is nothing left. The whole point of the high wall is to deter people from jumping over. So once you get past that high wall, the dismissive avoidant is now open. That's where they get destroyed. Because oftentimes, I always say this, the people that jump over high walls are dogs. Most people, why Why would they want to jump over that fence? No, really think about it. Why would they want to scale the high wall? What normal person is scaling high walls? Apart from criminals and dogs. And even dogs don't scale that high. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, why are they jumping over that high wall? And that's where you get in trouble. And that's why you need to heal. And that includes me. Because what tends to happen is you see other people with high walls and you start trying to heal them. Oh, I see that you got a high wall. I understand what I needed, but I never have it, so I'm going to give it to you. I'm going to be there for you. I'm going to heal you. I'm going to be the person that you need. And actually, you don't know how to express your own, you don't know how to express your own needs. You don't know how to express your own wants. And what tends to happen, it becomes a one-sided relationship. And then you expect them to read your mind because you've been reading their mind. My friend, if you don't go and sit down there somewhere and heal, okay? You're a Bobina the builder, above the builder. A Bobina the builder, above the builder. You're here trying to build people because you see I see the good in you. I see the good in you. I see the good in you. I know you got a high wall. I just want to be there for you. I hear it. Really, what you're really saying is you want to be there for yourself. You weren't actually being there for yourself. And so you're trying to be there for other people. I get it. I hear it. I've been there. But baby, listen, if you got them high walls, only dogs and criminals are jumping over. And that's why you should be concerned. If you've been saying to them, leave me alone, I don't want to talk to you. Look, I saw a thing the other day. I was concerned. A young lady and a young man. And this man had been he had been entering her DMs for the past 2 years, saying, good morning, sweetheart, good morning, sweetheart, good morning, sweetheart, good morning, sweetheart. By the second year, towards the end of the year, the girl said, oh, how are you doing? And now they're married. I said, I'm scared. Let me tell you why I'm scared. Number one, first and foremost, she saw the messages. She didn't consider your value. Number two, you saw her ignoring the messages and you stayed. What does that say about you? Are you okay? That you'd want to willingly be punished? Yeah, of course I don't trust you because you're going to punish that young lady later on probably. You know what I mean? You took a lot of hits. You're probably going to want to hit back. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, if a normal person who's secure in themselves, who values themselves, has self-esteem, goes, wait, bro, hold on a minute. I just got rejected. I need to back up. And I'm telling you this from my personal experience. Now, I don't enter DMs, but I've stayed in situations too long. I've stayed way too long in certain situations. Way too long. Okay. Okay, fourth one, last one. So, fearful avoidance, okay? Fearful avoidance, okay? Fearful avoidance. Someone said, do fearful avoidance have a hard time with physical touch in the early stage of dating or boundaries? If that person has a difficulty with physical touch in the very beginning, I'm probably going to tell you the truth. They don't like you. I'm going to tell you the truth now. They don't like you. Yeah. They might not like you. Do you know what I found? For the right person, the fearful avoidant puts on a character. They will even bypass and betray all their own feelings and thoughts. A lot of times. Listen, it's not everyone. Not everyone will do it. Because there are also people that are averse. For instance, there are people who are very sexualized versus not very sexualized. So it's not everyone. Okay, so it's not everyone. I want to make it very clear. It's not everyone. So, for a lot of the fearful avoidance, they will put on a mask and a performance. They don't want to do anything that's not going to make them feel liked. So, when fearful avoidance get into the start of the relationship, that's why some of them will even date someone that likes them but they don't like them. How? They betray themselves. So, I would take it as be cautious when someone says they're not really a physical touch person and they're fearful of women, because in the very beginning, they usually are very, they will show up as their best self. That's why people feel like they've been love bombed. They've been lied to. They will. It is when the relationship starts to have stakes that now they realize, oh God, let me pull it back a little bit. When the relationship has no stakes, meaning at the very beginning of the relationship, we're just getting to know each other. You don't really know me like that. I don't really know you like that, right? What you will see is they present their best self. So even the things that are a betrayal of themselves, they betray those parts. And it's when the stakes come in, stakes meaning there is now some importance on the relationship. We're thinking about, getting serious, or they can see you getting more emotionally invested. They get emotionally invested. Might have to pull back a little bit because they're starting to get a little bit. They're getting a little bit emotional and starting to care about me too much. Love is pain. I gotta make sure. You know what I mean? Now, Banana says, if you invest in me emotionally, I feel secure. But Banana, have you invested in them? So you feel more secure when they invest in you, but have you invested in them the same way? Or are you wanting them to invest first so you can see that it's secure? That's the question. Is it that when you both now have investment, or is it when you see them have an investment, you feel secure, but you're not invested? You need to make sure that they are secure. You need to make sure that they've been grounded for you. Then you now can feel okay. I need to make sure that they like me first. Then, if you watch Love Island, that's what Huda did to Jeremiah. It's manipulation. We all do it. By the way, all the insecure attachments have their own manipulation, by the way. Okay, so everyone has a manipulation. It's not just fearful avoidance. Dismissive avoidance have theirs. Anxious people have their own manipulation as well. Everyone does. So, anyway, come back to what we're saying. Okay, so for the fearful avoidant, coming back onto them, their thing is, if I feel good, something bad will happen. Okay? So for fearful avoidance, they're thinking like, if I feel good, something bad's about to happen. I can't feel good for too long. Something bad must be able to happen. I can't enjoy my life too well. Why? Because that's actually how their life was when they were younger. Okay? Things didn't last long when they were in joy. So joy is actually tied to instability. Okay? Joy is actually tied to instability. Why? Because when they start feeling joy, it can be taken away from them. And it can hurt. If I start to feel joy, I can be hurt. Because remember that the fearful avoidant carries both an anxious and an avoidant side. This is really important because what the fearful avoidant will go through is what we call hot and cold behaviors. Because they believe that love hurts, they need to prove that they have to prove certain things. So they use a method called testing. Now it can be considered manipulation. I'm just explaining the behavior. Okay. So what they will need to do is test you in different departments. They'll test you in the areas that they've experienced as a child more than likely. How do you deal with anger? So they might test you to see if you will get angry and how you handle your anger. They want to see, are you a generous person or are you a tightwad? So they might ask for money, even though they don't need the money, but they want to see, are you going to give the money? Okay? They might test you in your jealousy. They want to make sure that you actually care about them. So they might intentionally try to triangulate you with a person. They'll tell you about it. For instance, if you watch Love Island, Huda did this to Chris. Where Huda said, I can't believe no one wanted to kiss me in the challenge. She was manipulating. She was triangulating. She was trying to bring a third party in to be able to make the person feel like, to see how would they react. Would they be jealous? Would they not be jealous? Because they're trying to prove something. They need to make sure that you're a safe person, right? So it's not that they're intentionally trying to do it. There is some of that's intentional, and some of it is just not. It's just like they don't know any other way how to, to really be able to be sure that they are safe with that person. Okay. So for the fearful avoidant, their thing is that in the past, when they let their guard down, that's when that's when they got hurt. That's when they got hurt. So for them in the past, they'll be like, oh, if I let my guard down and I start to enjoy it, that's when the killer blow happened. Because that's actually what happened in their childhood. The moment they let go and their parents were being on good behavior and they decided to enjoy it, then the parent will go AWOL and do something very harmful. So what they've learned is love is pain and it doesn't last long when there's enjoyment. Okay? So 3 struggles. Emotional safety struggles. Okay? Is you struggle to trust good moments. You're waiting for betrayal. You're waiting for chaos. You're waiting for disappointment. Struggles to trust good moments. You're waiting for betrayal. You're waiting for chaos. You're waiting for disappointment. Number 2, you swing between gratitude and suspicion. You are grateful, but at the same time, you need to be suspicious. Why are you doing this? Why are you treating me nicely today? Why are you doing all these things? Has something changed? Are you doing something? Are you cheating? Are you being unfaithful? Maybe you've got a new person over there and I don't know. Maybe you've got a new friend. What is it you're not telling me? Okay? So they struggle with the gratitude and the suspicion. Needing to always know why. Exactly, Tara. And the reason why, again, is because it creates safety. If I always know, then I'm always in the know, then I'm always safe. But the reality of the situation is that knowing everything makes you a control freak, which then actually leads to the very thing you're afraid of, the abandonment and the rejection, because now you're in control of everything. Number 3 is feels emotionally unsafe when positive emotions arise. They trigger anxiety. Okay? Feels emotionally unsafe when positive emotions arise. They trigger anxiety. So when positive emotions come up, they are triggering because, like we said earlier on, when you did feel those good moments or good feelings, the next thing was actually harm. So it's hard to be excited for long. And we're talking about when there are higher stakes. In the very beginning, the fearful avoidant, the dismissive avoidant, the anxious person, they don't feel those ways. These fears don't come up till later on. So for the fearful avoidant, they feel unsafe when they're having to have positive emotions because they're anticipating something going wrong. Okay? So that's an important thing. Okay, so number 3, behaviors. Here are some typical behaviors that a fearful avoidant might do. They might express deep gratitude one moment, then detach the next. God damn. Look, if you don't, listen, hear me out. Because you might be dating a fearful avoidant, just like the dismissive avoidant, this is going to be key information for you. Okay, key information. Expressing deep gratitude one moment, then detaching the next. Boy, when you're the other person on the end of that happening to you, it's confusing. Okay, fawning, yes, but banana, yeah, fawning, stress, and then detach when I realized I was abused. Yes, absolutely. So express deep gratitude one moment, detach the next. We call this vulnerability overload. So you exposed yourself by being vulnerable, and you're now afraid that by being vulnerable, you're exposed, and now they will see you for what you project will be a negative look for you. So once you expose yourself, the feeling of being weak and incompetent, but the feeling of really and truly, they won't like you. So once you expose yourself, you run away so that you can actually regather yourself, right? And it's almost like you've opened yourself up, like physically torn the chest open. And it's like, I'm open, I've shared what I shared, but now I need to go and close it again. So I'll go and close it when I'm alone, and then I can come to you. But if I stay open, you're going to be able to see all the inner workings of me. And that's scary, because if you see all those things, what if you reject me? What if now you don't like what you see? What if, you don't, enjoy me this way? You know what I'm saying to you? So it can happen where, that hot and cold behavior, the overwhelmingness of the vulnerability. Number 2 is that you have sudden mood drops after feeling happy. That's difficult. Has sudden mood drops after feeling happy. You're feeling happy and then it just goes, whoa. And you're like, what demon is this? What warfare am I under? You're not under any warfare. What's really happening is that you feel overwhelmed by the intensity of feeling happy and joyful. It's not a safe emotion because, again, happiness is associated with harm. So the body is responding to the survival aspect. Okay? So the sudden mood drop, what you need to do when you have that mood drop, it's a great opportunity. Okay? Don't fear it. Engage with it. When that mood drops, don't run away from it. Engage it. Because what's happening is very much similar to what dismissive avoidance have, what we call a delayed reaction. And when you don't engage with the mood drop and you don't ask yourself questions as to why you're feeling the way you're feeling, what ends up happening is it prolongs that period of the mood drop because you're not addressing the core issue. There is a fear behind it. There is some kind of, there's an experience behind it. So we need to actually go into the eye of the needle, the storm. So as soon as the mood drops, don't dismiss it like, oh no, look, that must mean da-da-da. Because then you start going into a spiral. No. We need to now face it. Okay, my mood dropped. Is it something spiritual or is it something physical that's happened? Okay, let me ask myself some key questions. What's been going on? What's been happening? You know, am I, because also alongside that, what I also believe personally is that there are things that happen in the week that you didn't address. And there's a thing that's a term called body keeping count. Okay. And so what ends up happening, I think for a lot of avoidance specifically, is I've said this before, it's like you have a plate, okay? And on the plate, there is bread. During the course of the week, every time you were meant to say no and you said yes, someone tore a piece of the bread. Every time you did something that you didn't want to do and you weren't honest, someone tore a piece of the bread. And what you realize by the end of the week is there is only crumbs left. And now you're looking at the plate to say, I want to have some food, and there is nothing to eat. A lot of times what can end up happening is that because you're betraying yourself, your body's actually trying to tell you something. That's a good point, Bella, too. I like that point, Bella. Bella, I love that point about being happy and I risk being unhappy. So just stay unhappy. I love that point. I'll address that in a second. So it's important to address some of those things that are happening to you in the course of the week. Every time you say no, yes, when you're meant to say no, every time you go and do something when you said you didn't want to go and do it, every time you dishonor and betray yourself, you are removing more bread from your plate. You need to make sure that you're not dishonoring and betraying your voice and betraying your boundaries and your values. And a lot of that's because we're afraid that we'll be rejected, we'll be harmed, we'll be punished for expressing our true thoughts. And it's okay. Okay? It's okay to express your true thoughts. That's what emotional safety is. Now, I love what Bella said earlier on. That some people don't want to be happy because it would mean being unhappy. And what that is understanding that there is a need for emotional regulation, but also you need to learn how to be discomforted. Let me say it again. The feeling of I'm going to be happy, so 1 minute I might be unhappy the next, okay, is also because we don't feel comfortable being uncomfortable. Now, of course, that's a paradox because what do you mean being comfortable, being uncomfortable? That's the whole point of being uncomfortable. I'm not comfortable, but you need to get comfortable being uncomfortable. It's a part of life, right? And not deny that you're going to be uncomfortable at certain points. And because we don't want to feel uncomfortable, we will deny the uncomfortability. We will do things to evade the uncomfortability. You see what I'm saying to you? And so what ends up happening is we're only pushing it to the side. It's not being dealt with. You're just suppressing it. So again, yes, when you're happy, absolutely, you are going to be happy. Are you going to be sad some days? Yes. And here's another thing. The reason also why you don't like the reason why, for instance, being happy and being unhappy, why it becomes an issue, is also because you don't know how to work through the emotion of unhappiness. Because you don't ask the questions. Because you don't like sitting with your emotions. Because sitting with your emotions is scary. It's a very scary place to be. It's very vulnerable. To really ask myself those questions as to why I feel this particular way. And so actually you've built defense mechanisms. So whilst you should be able to navigate unhappiness, you're like, I don't want to feel unhappy. So here's what happens. This is where behavior that's not beneficial towards you will start to happen. Because you don't want to feel that unhappiness and process the information in unhappiness and the experiences that go on with it. What will end up happening is we start choosing behaviors that are incongruent with our values and what we're trying to achieve. For instance, you love your partner, and maybe you and your partner are having a conversation, right? And the conversation got uncomfortable. Maybe they said something that you didn't necessarily like, right? About your behavior. And instead of you to say, hey, you know what, that was a bit difficult to kind of listen to, you lash out. And now you lash out and your partner's like, what the hell just happened? Why are you lashing out at me? Now you're doing a big up apology tour. But now you feel bad because you've just cussed out your partner. And now you feel bad because you're looking at yourself saying, what's wrong with me? Why am I being mean to my partner? I love them. I care about them. I must be a bad person. Now we're going to go down a spiral. Because we're going to go down a spiral now. We're going to spiral out of, I'm a bad person. I don't deserve love. I don't deserve to be cared for. Digga. And we're just going down and down. And it's like, well, if I'm already down, I must be down. I'm going all the way down. And really and truly, what you need to do is sit with your emotions. Here's how you're going to sit with your emotions. Sit down and be still. Sit down and be still. Now, some of you are going to find this very difficult because you don't like to engage with where your mind goes to. Let your mind go. Let your mind go. It needs time to explore. Let it go. You're in bondage because you don't allow your mind to be able to search the crevices of your mind. And so you don't actually deal with the questions that are coming up. You'd rather avoid them. Let it go. Sit down. Don't talk and don't do. Allow your mind to explore. And do not judge where your mind takes you. A lot of times what's going to happen is when your mind starts to ask questions, what ends up happening is you start to judge where your mind is going. And when you make a judgment, it's no longer a safe space for you to explore your mind. How can you show up? How can you show up? If every time your mind goes to ask you questions about why you feel the way you feel, and you start judging it, why are you asking those questions? Why you got to ask? Why? And you start making it unsafe. How can you show up for you? You can't. So, sit down, pause, start asking yourself questions because you have the answers already. Start asking yourself questions. I'm feeling angry. Why? Where's that coming from? Is that coming from today? What happened this week that I feel angry about something that I didn't address? Am I feeling sad and depressed? Okay, what happened? Did something in this week make you sad and unhappy and you didn't actually address it? Is it work? Did something at work happen and you didn't actually stick up for yourself? You didn't actually create boundaries? You allowed your boss to talk to you anyhow, anyway, and then you suppressed it and said, it doesn't matter. I just need to get on with my job. I just need to do my best ability. And you've not dealt with it and it's now coming back up for you. You need to address it. Can't keep running. Sit down, process. Okay? Sit down and process. 3 core beliefs. Good things don't last. Joy is a setup for pain. And if I get hopeful, I'll be punished for it. Okay? And we've kind of discussed this a lot already. You know, good things don't last. And it's true. Some of your experiences have proved that to be true. When you did have some experiences, you were right. It didn't last. You're right. There were some experiences you've had like that prove you to be true. But now you are orchestrating your own downfall. You are sabotaging some of your situations. Right? Joy is a setup for pain. It can be. It can be. But really look at your friendships. You've been blessed by friendships. You've been blessed by some of the family that you're there. You've been blessed by maybe the partner you have. They're showing you care and appreciation. So is really joy just a setup for pain? It's time to take stock. If you're not taking stock, my friend, then you're not actually going to be present right now. Remember I told you about anxiety? The fearful avoidant has an anxious and an avoidant attachment. So you have to recognize that a lot of times you're not present. You are in the future or you're in the past. It's time to anchor yourself to the present. What's happening right now? And there's another thing also. You need to start paying attention to what you're actually thinking. Your thinking is informing your behavior. I want to let you know you're not free. Here's some of the things happen. Okay, let's see. You have an argument with your partner. What's the story you tell yourself? Because a lot of people, dismissive avoidance, fearful avoidance, anxious people, have a story they tell themselves that is not congruent with what actually happened. You tell yourself a story, oh, they don't care about me, they don't want me, they didn't, they just want, they don't really, they don't want to be with me. Wait, hold on. Did they say that? Did they say they don't want to be with you? Oh, if you believe that, why don't you ask them? And when they tell you that, when they say it's not a no, it's a no, believe them. Why is your story always negative? Have you ever deeped that? All your stories, when I think it seems to be negative, why? Why doesn't your stories have any positivity to it? That should tell you where your mind is. Every situation your mind goes to the worst thing, that's where you need to challenge it. That's a stronghold. Every story leads to abandonment, rejection, or betrayal. Can an FA need to avoid being unhappy lead to control issues? Absolutely. It leads to a fake creation of who you are. You're not always happy. And it's okay not to be okay. It's okay not to be okay. And when you've built a good emotional safety within yourself and with other people, you'll be okay with sharing some of those things. Like, hey, I don't feel okay right now. All right, cool. What do you need? Me to listen or do you need to have answers? Listen. Okay, cool. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, you need to be able to, that's why you have to sit down, because you need to be able to know what you need. Now, listen, most people need to be heard. That's what they need to have. Some people need solutions, but most of us just need to be heard. And we need to be heard without judgment. So I want to be able to tell you how I feel, but I don't want to be judged for it. That's what most people want. If I'm honest with you. Most people, all they want is most people want is to be heard and not to be judged or embarrassed or shamed for their thought process. For instance, let me give a one for anybody, right? If you're jealous, what do you do with your jealousy? Right? If you've been jealous, what do you do with your jealousy? Now, most people are going to hide it, push it down, and be like, that's not a good feeling to have. I shouldn't be jealous. They're going to squash it. Or they're going to act out a fool and say they're not jealous. No, I wasn't jealous. It's just, principle. But what they should be doing is what we call co-regulation. That means you regulate your emotions with somebody else. Now, that's very difficult for avoidance because, again, avoidance have what we call a hyper-independence. Right? Anxious people like to co-regulate too much. Right? But we need to co-regulate. So the co-regulation is me coming to you and saying, hey, okay, I can see someone's in the chat. Say Queen. Queen's in the chat, and I'll go, Queen, you know what? I can't lie to you, Queen. Can I be honest with you? You know, I just want to be heard. I don't want to be judged. I just want to be heard, right? And I'll say, Queen, you know what? When we went out, and you was talking to that man, I did feel a little bit of jealousy. I can't lie to you. I don't want you to change anything. I don't want you to, I don't want you to do anything different. I just acknowledge that I was a little bit jealous in that moment. And if Queen hears me and goes, you know what? Thank you for telling me. I didn't even know that, right? I didn't know that. It's good to hear that. Thank you for saying that to me and sharing that with me. You are gonna feel like, wow, whew, a weight off my shoulders, bro. Cause bruh, I can't lie to you. And the reason why is because a lot of times we keep things in which we're supposed to be sharing. Do you get what I'm saying to you? Now the difficulty also is finding the right kind of person and partner who can also hold that weight and gravity of your emotions. You should be looking for people who can do that. And you should be doing that for yourself too. Yeah? So it's important to create those spaces so that you can actually share those real thoughts. Okay? Okay. So, quickly, secure people, okay? Secure people feel at ease expressing gratitude and celebrating the good. They can hold space for both positive and negative emotions. Now, this is something that I'm learning really big time because I didn't realize how uncomfortable I can be sometimes when there's a negative expression of emotion when it's about me. I don't mind you being saying something negative about your emotions. I can deal with that. But when it's about me, I'm very sensitive. Now, I think if you're dismissive avoidant, you got some sensitivities. I'm just gonna be honest with you. You're very sensitive. Okay? No matter how cool you sound, you're sensitive. Now, here's the thing. It's okay to be sensitive. You just can't destroy a safe space. Right? It's okay to be sensitive. You can't destroy a safe space. What does that mean? What does that look like? Destroying a safe space would be as soon as you tell me, hey, coach, you know what? Maybe, when we're having discussions, you dominate the discussion. I mean, I don't usually, but just to say that for no instance. You dominate discussion, so I can't share as much because you're talking a lot. Now, I might not have liked the way you said it, but I have to hear you. So I can tell you, hey, maybe the way you said it, I didn't really like it, but I hear what you're saying to me. And then when I hear that, I can be like, okay, do you know what? You just said to me that, that I talk a bit too much at certain points and you need me to kind of just dial it back a little bit. Is that what I'm hearing you say? And once I do that, you're going to be like, wow, thank you. Thank you for hearing me. I didn't get angry. But if I then go, but you talk more, so I don't know what you're talking about, right? My tone, my energy, my vibe, you can just tell I'm already defensive. Now, I may disagree with you. It's okay to disagree, by the way. I may disagree with you. But the way I'm going to disagree with you is going to be very important. You know what I'm saying to you? Like, if I'm not, no, but what about you? You, the last time you was just talking, and did I say anything? And you're bringing it up to me. Rather than being like, hey, look, I really hear you. I think I'm struggling to kind of see where you're coming from because I think in several conversations, I've kind of seen that maybe you haven't necessarily, spoken up. And I thought, I'll just talk in a space for you. That's why it's come up like that, right? Now, that hits different than you saying, what about you then? You immediately go into blame. Do you get what I'm saying to you? So that's how you destroy the safe space. When you start blaming, shaming, embarrassing, punishing, yeah, you're going to destroy the safe space. Don't do that. Okay? Don't do that. You know what I'm saying to you? Don't do that. What I would say for that as well, when you're having conversations with people that you're cool with and close to, write down. Write down some of those, what they're telling you, what their issues are. Write them down. And then repeat them back to them. So they know that you're listening, number one. But number two, also so that you understand where they're coming from, what they're looking for. And so it stops you from talking and destroying safe spaces. Okay? Secure people, see hope as part of emotional resilience. Thank you very much. I appreciate that. All right? So There are three typical behaviors for secure people. They express appreciation without overfunctioning or downplaying. They practice daily gratitude or hopeful thinking, even in stress. And they validate others' joy without comparison or detachment. Okay? So, look, I think we've explained a lot there for you guys today. Listen, if you are somebody in need of healing, if you're in need of you being able to grow and start healing your attachment as well, then DM me. We have what we call a discovery call. The discovery call is 30 minutes long. It's free. It will just be us being able to discuss about what you need, what you expect, what you're looking for. And we'll just be able to see if that aligns with the coaching that I actually do. So if you're somebody and you're interested, I know you guys are interested, and you're looking for coaching, you're looking to heal your attachment wound, you're looking to better communicate with your partner or your friends or family, or better get to know yourself, then for you, I need you to reach out to me, DM me. I'll send you a link so you can book yourself in for the free 30-minute discovery call. Okay? All right? So we can discuss those things as well. Well, look, my time actually is up, okay? Now, normally I would open it up for you guys to ask questions, but today my time is up slightly and I need to go and do what I need to do with my leg. Hey, Charlie, it feels like someone burst my leg. But yes, so we'll be back here on Thursday night for just open panel conversation. But I hope you guys have been blessed. If you've enjoyed the live, thank you as well for those of you who've contributed and shared your perspectives as well. And we love to be able to see you again next Monday for another conversation as well. Okay, so we'll see you on the 14th of July. Okay, again, if you need coaching, DM me. I will send you a link. Okay, we'll see you again soon. Much love, much appreciation. We'll see you again soon. And thank you for those who gifted. No, sorry, let me make sure I just say who gifted. Sorry, let me just make sure I appreciate those who gifted. Sorry, let me do this quickly before I go. Make sure those of you who gifted me, I can just appreciate. Oh, can I see it? Coming in like a cat's later. Live gifts. Okay, here we go. Fantastic. Gift record. Okay, so thank you for Nokofine, Kamara, Precious, Soft Heart, _7, Raquel, Naila, Tina, Zuzu, Kojo Gental, yes, my namesake, Becca, Prissy, also Jack Nation, Ghana Music, Faith Works For Me, Esther, Prettiest Nails, I Am Her, Diallo, Ejiro, Queen Mina Gold, sorry, Cupcakes, Ajwa, JC, thank you for sending. We appreciate you as well. Kimberly, thank you as well. God bless you as well for sending. So thank you all for just sending those gifts. It's very much appreciated as well. But please, if you do need coaching, reach out to me. It's what we do. We love doing it. We in our coaching, not only will you be coached, we'll give you worksheets, we give you exercises, we give you the analysis by the notes as well, summary of the notes as well. So I do attachment analysis as well each session with you. So by the end of the session, you'll get a pack in your email. You'll get at least about, it depends if you choose that coaching. There's some coaching as well, like 8 to 10 pages. So you'll get a lot in there if you join our premium coaching. So if you're ready for that, please reach out to us. The whole point is we want people to grow to a place where they can stand on their own 2 feet. Okay, and we want to teach you so you can actually begin to stand for yourself as well. Okay, all right. I appreciate you guys. Stay locked, stay loaded. We'll see you again very, very soon. Much love.